Our mom and dad met in 1947, married in 49, had Jill 12 years later. Since both mom and dad worked full-time to make ends meet, our grandma Pratt became an important influence for Jill, teaching her to sew and cook. From the outset, Jill was interested in how things went together, how they were designed, if the foundation was poured correctly. I came along 5 years after her, and Jill herself became my important influence, even when I didn't necessarily want her to be. Our upbringing was stable, loving, and secure. Jill admired Frank Lloyd Wright, Princess Di, and horses. Dad taught her how to work with wood, to garden, to take risks. Mom taught her perseverance, perfectionism, and practicality. Even though there was just Jill and I in our immediate family, add our cousins in there and you had a party. Jill was closest in age to Tim, but Rose, Sue, and Sharon, David and Keith were always nearby.
Cuba has had its ups and downs, its successes and failures in its 43-year history. We need to recognize that we are all affected by politics.
When Fidel came into power, my grandfather worked for him. Once everyone started realizing that Fidel wasn't coming through with his promises, my grandfather also started to realize it, and he was shortly after hired by the CIA as a spy. Within about 6 months, they were caught by Fidel. The CIA took the family out in the middle of the night on a boat. My mother was about 5 years old. She had a 7-year-old sister, a 3-year-old brother, and a 4-month-old sister. And they haven't been back since.
Back in Havana, the students are ecstatic. They are granted an impromptu meeting with Cuba's president, Fidel Castro.
I'm just excited to hear him speak. I feel so important right now. I'm not sure what to do with myself.
I want him to sign my flag, though. That's something I definitely want to do.
My grandfather went to school with Fidel, and he'll be very happy to hear that I've met him and that I've heard what he has to say.
Max Brandt and Jill Wright present Castro with gifts from the United States.
En ese minuto ustedes expresaban ese reconocimiento tan amable a los sentimientos con que los reciben aquí. Sentía la satisfacción de recordar que fue correcta, muy correcta nuestra política. Y esto que ocurrió en estos días, ocurrió también en el 90 cuando vino los primeros norteamericanos, y ha ocurrido a todo lo largo de la revolución. Y hoy nuestra estimación por el pueblo americano ha crecido mucho.
Si me permitiera subir al escenario para entregárselo, mi libro, como una muestra de aprecio. No quiero.
The 4.5-hour talk engages professors and students alike. The world leader was willing to not only hand out autographs. At the end of the meeting, he obliged one student with a request for a hug.
What happens after the end of the apartheid system and the creation of the government of national unity?
Dennis Brutus is a poet and activist. He spent time as a political prisoner and was held at Robben Island at the same time as Nelson Mandela.
This is a society in transition. It's in transition politically, and it's in transition economically, and it's in transition racially. And some of the old racism is still there, the poverty is still there, and the debate about the politics is still going on. Well, I was unfortunate to come there at the worst time. This was right from the time when Robben Island became a political prison.
Many voyagers get to visit Robben Island with former political prisoner Dennis Brutus.
The big prison that you see now, it didn't exist. We actually built it. Mandela, Sisulu, Kathrada, myself. We were carrying the blocks of stone which built that prison.
Since the island was declared a national monument, Dennis has returned to visit only a couple of times.
The guard said to me, "You shouldn't feel sorry for yourself because you put yourself in this prison." And I said, quite right. And if I was not in this prison, I would be putting the president in this prison. I was kept in isolation. That's when I was not allowed to exercise with any of the other prisoners, nor talk to any of the other prisoners. I was being punished for something, but I was kept in various cells. This was one of them. Mandela's at the end. I am just beyond the gap. It was the guard that caught me talking to the prisoner next to me.
The lime quarry where prisoners laboured is located nearby. When the island was open to the public, Mandela began building a pyramid of stones to which he and other former prisoners add to upon each visit.
He stressed how dreadful and depressing this jail was, but they repainted a lot of the prison cells. You've lost the smell, you've lost the names of the people that lived in the cells, the political parties they're associated with, all that's been lost.
I think you can't help something that's this exploited and touristy. At the same time, it means well and it conveys a message and tells history.
But I think it's important to register the ruthlessness and the brutality of people who, on the basis of race, were willing to crush other people.
In 1993, many South Africans, along with a handful of foreigners, were working to establish free elections in the wake of apartheid. Amy Beale, a young American woman on a Fulbright scholarship, was working among them. She was murdered by a mob while taking her coworkers home to the township of Guguletu.
Beginning of the trip, we went to the foundation and we went into the office. Amy's mom was there. Linda Beale is a remarkable woman.
You know, it's beautiful here. And you've seen the waterfront, but it's like peeling an onion. And there's a lot visually and beautiful things that go on, and then you start learning more about what it's really like.
Amy's parents traveled to South Africa to meet their daughter's murderers. An unusual bond formed, and the Beals found themselves working together with these men to address poverty and oppression in the townships.
And she put his arm around him and she said, "Yeah, and this is one of the perpetrators of Amy's death." And we just all kind of were so shocked by it. I don't know if I would be able to hug someone that had killed my daughter.
When he and Easy came to us about getting out of prison in 1998 and not seeing changes in their community, we knew that there weren't changes in the community.
After meeting Linda Beale, students followed Ntobeko to Guguletu, where he grew up and still lives today. Throughout the day, Ntobeko told the story of the political events that led up to Amy's death.
The police at one point had come and captured their main leader and took him and just kind of killed him in a way that was trying to send a message to their group that if they didn't stop, that was going to happen to the rest of them. And he said at that point, that's when they got really militant. It just kind of fueled their desire to make a change through violence, and he said he was willing to give up his life for that cause.
I just felt like I'd been so naive that it was all out there. I would love to apply Amy Beale's story to my own life in how I live, in my daily interaction with people, that nothing is too great to forgive.
We got to see how people can reconcile and how there can be bridges built over even the most terrible tragedies.
Go out to the townships and you see things which are, why wouldn't people rebel? Why wouldn't people rack and loot and burn and kill? He said, no, things are much better now. Much, much better now. The government has made an effort to provide decent housing and sanitation and water and electricity, even in the townships.
Or South Africans think of Americans and what we think of them and a stereotype, and asking me what I think about Iraq and Bush, and I'm asking what they think about the government, and that's the stuff I'm going to remember.
And the guy goes, "Where are you from?" My friend Jeff replies, "I'm from Illinois." And the guy goes, "Oh, I'm your senator. How are you?" Shakes his hand. I go to school in D.C. and I've never met a senator on the street, let alone being in South Africa.
I asked him what his name was, and he kind of looked at me like I was crazy, and he said, Wonton. And I said, I'm Lindsay, and nice to meet you. And I said, are you hungry? And he was like, yeah. And I said, do you want to grab a bite to eat? So he brightened up and drugged me off to the Steers, the little Burger King in South Africa, and we sat down and had a meal together, and it was really interesting to talk to him. He's 13 years old and living by himself in the street.
I can't believe it's all their fault. She's like, I feel bad for the kids, but I mean, really. And then she told me that she feels that they should just take all the babies that are born with AIDS and kill them. And so I was like, okay, I don't know about Cape Town too much.
We weighed about 50 children, and luckily only 6 of them were under the standard weight limit for kids.
Sitting next to Tobacco with Mrs. Beale directly across from him was powerful. One extreme example of forgiveness, listening to Mrs. Beale explain how you can only look forward to build bridges and have hope for tomorrow.
Most voyagers make the trip to visit Hiroshima. The Industrial Promotion Hall was intentionally left standing by the Japanese government as a stern reminder about the ultimate consequence of nuclear power.
In a nuclear-age nuclear war class, after Brazil, Professor Murphy had us write an essay about whether or not we thought the dropping of the bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki was justified. And I did, because I said it would save 30,000 American lives.
On August 6, 1945, just 3 days before Nagasaki was hit, a United States bomber flew overhead, dropping a device that ultimately killed 200,000 people and injured many more.
Just to see the charred clothing and stand at the Hypo Center and realize that 40, 50 years ago that the destruction, the people that were evaporated in the middle of the town. I don't imagine how I could argue that anymore.
I visited the memorial park in Nagasaki, and so I was a little prepared, but still I think when I got here I forgot how much it had impacted me then, and so it was pretty intense to see it all over again and to think that we as Americans as a whole were a part of that and had something to do with it in some way.
For me, the main thing that it meant was that the war was over, and I had relatives who were fighting in the Pacific, and so it was a pretty happy bit of news that bomb had fallen and that war was over, and of course it's far more complicated than
I think that the Japanese probably don't look down upon us, but if I were in their shoes, maybe I would, just it'd be kind of hard to have, the people that actually did this come, visit the site, but I think they realize now that we're coming in memorial and that, we realize what we did was wrong.
We know about it, but going to see firsthand just what happened just gives you a totally different perspective.
Nagasaki's pretty much all built up. You can't really find very many remains except for the Peace Park and the museum, and here they have buildings like this that are still perfect remains of what happened. It's not completely built over. You can still see the scars.
Moonshine gives sunset a passing glance as it rises ever higher into the evening sky. Dusk is soon to be a memory, taken over by the tranquil darkness of the night to come. The sea, as if to mirror the sky, remains calm, welcoming, beckoning us to travel forth, to travel into unfamiliar lands that are calling our names. Come, says the sea, let me lead you to a place where up is down and right is left, where your laws are forgotten and your ways are strange. Come, it says. And we do. We follow the sea, the sunset to our backs, heading into a darkness not only seen but felt. A darkness that will become our light as we explore the worlds, those which we've never seen, only dreamed. Lead us, we say. Lead us into our dreamland so that we may become stronger, bolder, and freer. Lead us into our dreams so they may become realities. Come, says the sea, and we do. Janice Ukawa.
The reflection of you